Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman Budget Workshop, Night 1. It is April 9th, 2026 at 5:45 p.m. With opening remarks, we're going to turn it over to Bruce Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. There are several things I want to kind of go over briefly. It may lead to discussion, I don't know, but in your package you have the general fund revenues, the expenditures, and then the capital list. Revenues are currently projected at $2.3 million above expenses. This is due to using $6.1 million in bond money for the projects. We'll go over that later. Local sales taxes and state shared taxes are projected to be higher, which is obviously good. And these numbers will continue to be tweaked over the next week or two because there's still some things we're trying to figure out and make sure they're accurate. I do want to give a reminder up front that, and you've heard me say this before, that next year we will have to implement a property tax increase. I want to make sure everybody understands that because we will have to do a second bond issue for the Waldron Road widening project. We don't know what that amount's going to be yet because we have not bid out that project. So we'll know more as we go through that process and get that project started. Obviously, none of us want to increase taxes. Smaller increases would be better each year, so that's not as much of an impact. But just remember that our expenses continue to get higher and higher every year, just like anybody else's budgets. I know the board is probably not willing to do that this year, and I completely understand, but that's a decision for y'all to make. One addition that is not in the revenues yet is for electrical permits that the codes department is planning to start this year. These fees will be determined hopefully sometime next week and will be added to the fee schedule. And we will present that fee schedule to you at the third budget workshop because we're still compiling it. Another thing that we need to discuss at some point this evening is impact fees. If you'll recall, back in November 2023, the board approved an ordinance where we could amend the impact fees each year by adding an annual adjustment for construction cost index. In 2024, we made that increase, and then in 2025, the board adjusted the road impact fees by lowering them from 100% of the maximum value that we could charge down to, I believe, 70%. So last year, we did not do the construction cost index because we had just lowered them. So the question for the board is, what do you want to do this year? If you want to make that change this year, we will have to put a resolution on the next meeting agenda to approve at the May meeting, and then we can also make the changes to our fee schedule accordingly.
If we, excuse me, Bruce, if we do that impact thing, do we have to pay a group or something? Because I know before when we had to reduce it, we either did it a little bit or we had to pay X amount of money to...
We were trying to determine at that point if we needed to do another study just to reduce them. And ultimately, we're talking through legal and other people, we determined that to lower impact fees, you don't really have to do another study. It's only if you're going to increase them. When we put the construction cost index into the impact fee ordinance, we don't have to do a separate study for that because that's just adjusting according to basically like the CPI index. So we don't have to do a study per se just for that type of increase. Now, if we're wanting to restudy everything, put all of our project costs and everything to adjust them higher in the future, yes, we would have to do another study, but not for this type of increase.
Okay.
What was CPI this year?
I haven't looked at it yet. So I don't know what that construction cost index would be for this last year. As far as the expenditures portion, the current expenditures that you have in your packets are shown with no employee raises because we wanted to show a baseline budget to help determine what the board may want to do when it comes to pay increases, if you do any pay increases at all. So information that Danielle and I need, and Andrew as well, we need to know what you want us to do as far as pay increases are concerned. If you'll recall, when we presented the compensation study to you a couple months ago, the total increase proposed at that time, or recommended by the company, was right at $3 million across the board for all of the departments. The general fund portion of that would be about $2.7 million, give or take. We've not finalized some of those because there will be some minor adjustments in there. So just keep that in mind, and you'll need to let us know what direction you want us to go so we can put those numbers together. Due to the cyber attack and issues we've had getting the budget pulled together, because we have multiple systems now with local government and then also RAMP, trying to marry those two together, we've had some issues trying to get accurate numbers. We'll still be working on that over the next week or two to try and get those finalized. But basically, we are proposing the same line item budget for this year, for this next year, that we've approved for the current year. So there's not many adjustments when it comes to operating. There again, we can tweak some of these as needed throughout the process, but that was our starting point for this next year. For the capital items, the departments, the internal budget committee that we had, we've worked together and tried to minimize our capital request due to the unknown revenues and due to the impact of changes from the compensation study. So there again, that will have to be tweaked at some point. For capital projects, the main general fund projects for this next year continue to be Blair Road West Extension and the South Waldron Road widening projects. As I mentioned earlier, we've not bid out the Waldron Road project, so we don't know what the total cost of that project will be yet. Another major project will be the build-out of the Public Works and CDS facility to move most of the remaining departments out of City Hall so that the police department can utilize this building. The current estimate on that project is $4.5 million. We're getting ready to put that out to bid soon, so we'll hopefully get those numbers back and we'll have more exact numbers of what that project will be. If you'll recall, originally we only had $2 million scheduled for that project. The scope of that project has changed, and we can certainly talk about that later on if you would like to. Another project that is on the horizon is the new police department facility. Funding is still the biggest issue and concern for that. And if the board wants to proceed on that as soon as possible, we'll have to determine the timeline, and we'll have to calculate the funding for another bond issue, quite frankly, because that's the only way we'd be able to afford it. So those are my opening comments, which longer than normal, but that's where we are. So if you want to start going through the revenues, I will turn it over to Danielle, and she can start going through the spreadsheets for the revenues and expenditures. Once we go through that, we will talk about the capital projects list, which is the big spreadsheet at the back. Any questions before we move on?
Can you give me that number one more time for sales tax, as far as the projection for being over?
The last I heard, and I've not heard about the the March payment yet. At the end of February, we had received $13.1 million. For the entire budget last year that ended June of 25, we had received right at $17 million. So that's what we budgeted for this year, was $17 million, and we're already at 13.1. So the projected at that time, before we got the March payment, that we would receive by the end of June this year is $19.7 million. So that is approximately $2.7 million above what we had budgeted.
So economic development's working.
That is the biggest portion of it, yes.
So the $2.7 million employee raise, is that based on like a 6%? I can refresh my memory.
That's based on that comp study that we
Yeah, that
did.
comp
Correct.
study, but
Andrew, can you field that for me, please?
An average of
was there
10.
a percentage or average or?
The average was 10.
Yeah, so the recommendation from the firm that we hired was to increase 9% our pay scale. And then there's 25 or 30 positions that need adjustment based on being below market. And then there was some ancillary proposed changes to make to stipend processes. But that number is currently a 9% raise to the pay scale itself.
So that would be the minimum that everybody would receive.
When you factor some of those changes that they were recommending for various roles, like Bruce just said, 9 would be the minimum, and it goes up from there. And that will have to be determined. That's a process that we do line by line, but I can't do that until I know what y'all would like to move forward with, because it's a pretty extensive process to consider compression and tenure and all those things when setting individual rates.
And if you want us to consider more than one option, we need to know what those options are so we can put that together.
Example.
Instead of going with 9% this year, let's say you just wanted to do 6% this year and 6% next year. Or if you just want to do 3% this year and we determine what we're going to do next year, just whatever options y'all want us to look at so we can give you the numbers to make that determination.
Can a raise for employees, does it have to be at budget time? Can it be amended sometime if we see we've got the money, can it be amended and?
We would have to do a budget amendment to be able to do that.
And you can do that. We have done that before. You might just give like a 3% in July and then whatever else you wanted to do, like January 1st or whatever date. But yes, it would require a budget amendment and approval by the board before we could put it in place.
And we've done multi-year raises, because we've had one that was that came in with the budget, and then one that we implemented in January.
Correct. We've done multiple increases over the last several years. Andrew knows the numbers better than I do, but we have raised them substantially over the last few years.
In the last 4 years, not necessarily the pay scale, but individual employees have seen anywhere from a 37 to 45% increase in their base pay, thanks to the approvals that you all gave to the various raises. Some of those were much larger, faster. When we did, like the firefighter increase we did, that was a pretty substantial individual raise. We did a police-only raise a couple of years ago. So all of that factors in, but the increases have been pretty substantial. When I say that some of them haven't applied to the pay scale, that was what the consultant was talking about, that while current employees' pay has gone up, our hiring pay has not. And that's where we've fallen behind.
Mm-hmm. Well, since we're discussing it, I'll go ahead and throw out my opinion, which is that we should just fund the comp study that we did. We should fund it as it is, with the 9% for the scale. And then, of course, the employees. That's my thoughts. Since we're going into it, I just figure I'd throw it out. If anybody else wants to chime in, they can.
I just know in this day and age and economy, and of course I don't interact with them every day, but I feel like we got some really good employees, and I know we need a lot of other stuff, but I want to keep them employees happy and keep them here. I don't want them run off. So, and the old proverbial saying, "Money talks and the other stuff walks." So that's why I was asking about it.
I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but
Okay, Debbie.
9 and all that, we done said it'd be 2.7. So if you look at the last page of the revenues,
Kyle, I can't hear you.
if you look at the last page of the revenues, we've got 2.3. So 2.7 is more than 2.3. So if we're not raising taxes this year, we can provide you numbers, but I'm not a miracle worker, so I don't know what we're supposed to do. That's the only thing I'll say is that I agree that, yes, we have great employees, but I don't see how we're doing the 9% if 2.7 is what the general fund's going to require. If we're not raising taxes, and if this is accurate, then 2.3, we're already 400 over, and that's not to mention the 600 or 400,000 worth of stuff, or 600 that we're fixing to talk about that Bruce has got. So it's not possible to do 9.
Actually, the capital items are already in the budget, so.
We're still 400 off, though, so
Yeah.
it's just not possible.
And the revenue numbers are still just an estimate. Some of those will be tweaked. It may go up, it may go down, but that's just our initial rough estimate.
But all the raises wouldn't come out of general fund, would it? You would have
The total
some.
cost is $3 million for everybody. The general fund portion is 2.7.
Okay.
My comment is obviously retention is a big factor in this day and age, so looking after employees is key. But I just want to go back to sales tax. I'll throw it out to our finance department. I'm just doing round numbers here, if we are 3/4 of the way through and we're at 13, and you do the math, that gives you 4.5 for the remaining. Only gives you 17,735. So I'm a little bit concerned of how that number has been. We're doing some assumptions, but with the actual numbers, it would appear that we may not get to 19, and that's my concern.
The numbers you're looking at are through the end of February. They do not include March. So it's actually 4 months of revenues that are not allocated in here. So that's a third of a year, not a
Okay.
fourth.
So if you do the math, it's 4.5 remaining, if you're using the previous numbers that you've been used. So if you take in the 13 and you divide it by the 3, it still gives you're still short a difference of 4. You're assuming that 4.5 is going to come in. So it's still going to be short of the 19. I just want to make sure we understand the income we do before we start doing the spending.
Right. Yeah, I have to defer that to Daniel.
So the number that's included in the budget for the year-to-date as of February, it's $13,185,000. So that's for 8 months. So there's 4 more months. So if you forecast that, it's 19.778.
But if you take the 13 and do the math backwards of the 8 months, it doesn't come up with the 19. I don't see that coming up with the 19.
The average per month is 1.63 million if you divide that out by 8 months. And then you multiply it by 12, that's 19.65.
Okay. All right, well.
But I will say, even on the rest of it, like the 9% and all that, we definitely can look at those numbers and provide y'all with whether that will be a nickel raise on the taxes, if that would be 2 cents, if it would be 10 cents. I don't know what that'll be, but we definitely can, if y'all want to go with the 9 and all that, we will present you with what, hey, this will include this kind of tax raise.
So obviously, we are all on the same page as far as wanting to increase, if at all possible, the employees' pay scale. The 9% up front, like the mayor was saying, according to you, is not realistic without an increase in taxes.
Yeah, it's not possible with the numbers.
Right, but
Unless you cut something.
right, cut back on stuff, but if we can get half of that, and as the year goes by and the sales tax dollars come in, would it be possible to go another half of that without doing anything?
You could if the numbers exceed what we're expecting.
I mean, we definitely want to retain. There's no doubt about that. But as you say, we got to do it realistically. And absolutely, we cannot, not this year, raise taxes. That's not.
Vice Mayor, if I could just share a comment about what our municipalities around us are doing this year, is a 3% raise.
But even at that, 3%, if in 4 months from now and Danielle comes in with these spectacular sales tax dollars, we can go back and have an amendment and try to give them some more money. Is that a reasonable thought?
It's always possible.
It is
It just comes down to the math of the numbers is what it comes down to.
I agree with Bruce. I think next year, we've put it off. We've avoided the issues. We've avoided the subjects. But I think next year, realistically, is going to have to be a small, whether it be a nickel.
But I think one thing we need to put together too, for y'all, is that health insurance, and I'm not going to be the employee favorite right at this point with what I'm fixing to say, but health insurance is a cost. So we need to look at if Smyrna's our competitor, what is Smyrna paying? What does the Smyrna employee pay for each paycheck to their health insurance? And we need to say, hey, this is a portion of this raise, because if you get to 6% and y'all don't touch our health insurance, then that health insurance does have a value to it. So trying to get to the 9% and all of what we're trying to do, and based on the study, that study does not take into consideration health insurance.
Good point.
So I think it's fair if y'all were to propose a 6. If the study's saying 9, it's probably going to be fair that 6 is appropriate. Now, what Andrew just said, if everybody else raises 3, then we're back to a 9. If you start kind of weighing those type options. But we got to look for, what's the best for the taxpayers and the citizens here also, not just the employees.
That's 100%. But if we can kind of have our cake and eat it too,
Don't everybody else jump in. Carol, thoughts?
This is not my
Move your microphone.
forte.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Jerry can't hear you.
Budgeting is not really my forte. I will say this is not my specialty. I can run down the mayor, I can run down Bruce, and I can run down these developers. But this is, you guys are the pros here, right? Like, this is a little bit of my sophomore season, coming in my 4th year.
That's senior.
So
That'd be a senior.
it feels like a sophomore year. I'm just now getting a grasp of a lot of this stuff. So, I want to see the employees get raises. Yes, I think that's important. I'll say the unpopular opinion again, just like I said last year about doing small increment tax raises to get to a place where we need to be, where we are ahead of the curve. Because I hate this, feeling like we're trying to play catch up with everybody else around us. That's not where I want Laverne to be. And I hate the thought of raising the taxes and pricing people out of their homes. So I hate to get behind the ball and come into a position where we're raising taxes and pricing these long-term residents of Laverne who've been here forever out of their homes. I hate that. That breaks my heart, and I don't want to do it. That's why I say small increment raises, hitting a particular goal in 5 years. I think that's ideal, but I feel like that's the unpopular opinion.
it's a realistic opinion, and it's just so hard to try and figure out the economy anymore.
Carol?
So are we the only ones that provide 100% health benefits?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
How much of a percentage, like Smyrna? I mean, it's... I know what I paid when I was working for my health insurance. So, do we know how much Smyrna pays? Or a percentage of what? We don't know.
I can certainly find that out. I do not have that information in front of me, or even gathered. We are the only municipality that pays 100%. We're also the only municipality that pays 100% for all dependents. Our broker has recommended some alternatives year after year. But again, touching benefits is unpopular. And I understand that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I do too. So,
Our benefit costs are going to be $10 to $12 million before claims in another couple of years.
But I also want you to be comparing apples to apples, because you've got a pay study that you've been presented with.
right.
And I just want you to know that the benefits, the health benefits, is not included in that. So you're seeing a 9%. We're going to get asked about a 9%, but employees have to understand that that health benefit is there, and there is a cost to that. So, you know, one solution is, okay, you get a 9%, but then we start backing off on the health insurance.
That's the reason I was kind of asking what type of percentage it was. I know that when I was working, part of the compensation letter was look at the benefits that we provide at a low cost, a low cost to you, the employee. I mean, because that's what it was.
And we do that here. We do a total comp letter in July. And I'm just going to pull up a real quick spreadsheet. But on that, I list what the employee's salary is and what their benefit package is. I even think last year I added, if they did the 8% contribution to their 401A and 457, what our contribution was, because that's another ask. Right now, for 2026, family coverage, which would be employee and spouse and plus children, is $32,052.24 per person. That's a pretty significant cost because we have world-class benefits. So we put that number on the paper. I don't know how much that always resonates to all employees, and I do think that depending on where you fall in the life cycle, benefits sometimes mean more than if you don't use them.
$32,000 for a family per year?
Yes. That's medical, dental, vision, life, short-term disability, long-term disability, EAP, because we pay 100% of all those.
Andrew, have y'all ever considered, and I know this from other employers, where this doesn't affect children, but if a spouse works a job where they're eligible for insurance, that they would basically need to get that or pay the difference.
So that's called a spousal carve-out, and that has been a recommendation now 2, maybe 3 years from our broker that we institute a carve-out. And it's exactly what you said. If your spouse has the ability to get insurance, then they would be refused coverage, and they would have to take it at their place of employment.
I know that that's what they did at my previous employment, and they instituted that several years ago.
I mean, I know Nissan does that as well. I think that would be a reasonable.
Well, again, I'll go back and say what feedback I've got from employees, because I try to be honest with them, and the feedback I've got is that please don't touch my benefits. I had much rather have less of a percentage of a raise. So, I mean, you've got some directors in here and different ones that can speak for their departments, because I'm sure after that presentation they've got hit with, oh, we're getting a 9% and all that. And when you look at the money, if we're not raising taxes, it's not feasible. So there's got to be reality at some point, which is we're either going to do less than the 9% and less than the pay study, or if we're going to do that amount, we got to have some justification, or if we do the full thing, then we got to raise taxes. And if, like we said a while ago, if we're going to do it and not raise taxes, what are we cutting? And if we're going to start cutting health benefits, from what I've been told by all the employees I've talked to, is they don't they had preferred to leave the benefits as is, if possible, and the raise be less.
I believe depending on the spouse and their employer and what their cost would be for that insurance for one person, plus the quality of insurance, whether there's deductibles or co-pays and all that, could be considerably higher by doing a spousal carve-out and essentially cost the employee more money by taking something away rather than giving them less of a raise. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I believe that they could come out of pocket more money than if we gave a 9% raise or a 6% raise versus a 9%. I think it would cost the employee more money at the end of the year by doing a spousal carve-out and giving them the 9% versus potentially a 6% and leaving the raise benefits alone.
You know, I've sat up here for over 7 years. This is the first time you've ever spoke language I can understand.
You're talking to Kyle?
I hope you're talking to him.
I'm talking to Kyle because he's being honest and he's talking straightforward. And I think as a liaison for the employees and coming back to us, I think that's good stuff. And if what you're saying is true, then I think that right there personally takes some of the pressure off of us and the city that we could, without really doing anything, realistically do a 3% raise during this budget. And if we see in 4 or 5 months if the money is there, we can up it and not touch their benefits and move on with it. Is that?
Well, I'd prefer not to be the most hated, so I would go back and say 6. And
Karen didn't say that she can bash you. That's just me and Bruce.
And then on top of that, you've got several directors here that have spent their times here invested. So I would ask each one of them to come up and say for their area, because we've all had these conversations. Everybody here has. So right now is the time to hear from them all, as opposed to just taking my word for it.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
Let's start with Bo.
Just start a
Volunteer, all right.
Mike was
Just start a line.
He was trained by Kyle.
No, I just, we talked about this in our internal budget meetings with department heads and such, and just to echo what Kyle and Chief Beasley has already said, when you take away, that is more of an impact than not giving. And, if you give less on the percentage of a raise and don't touch benefits, that is going to be well received, in my opinion. My workforce in Public Works is a lot of younger individuals that may not necessarily understand the importance of benefits. However, we do have several that do. And you don't need it till you need it. And y'all all know that. So I second 100% what Kyle said, Chief Beasley. And I think everybody behind me is going to say the exact same thing. I would vote to leave benefits as they are, 3% increase if we can afford that. But if it's a 1.5% or 2%, I would go that route before I took something away.
So, employees have heard the 9%.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Well, I know they have. I know.
They think it's guaranteed already.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, if we come back with a 3%, how do you, or you all as department heads, how do you think that will affect employee morale and staff retention?
I think from a department head's perspective, and I know I can speak for myself, when Andrew hands out these letters each year, I sit down with each individual in my department, and that's your opportunity to have that discussion, explain to them everything that went into the reason for said raise, less raise, takeaways, whatnot. You just have to explain all that to them on a one-on-one the best that you can and hope that it sinks in.
And with the caveat that if Danielle foresees a big increase in revenue, there is the potential of an adjustment, maybe mid-year or something.
Yes, ma'am.
Potential.
Yep.
That's the key word, is the potential.
Absolutely. No guarantees.
And I would say again that the pay study only looked at pay.
Yes.
Everybody needs to understand that. It only looked at what you got paid. It does not look at your benefit package. So,
In
When
that,
that, I can't remember, seems like I did ask her, when that lady was here, or whoever it was, I can't remember if it was male or female that was here talking to us about that, did those numbers and stuff that she was throwing out at us, did that include benefits?
No.
no.
Okay.
And that's the
Benefits
one
are
thing
not
that is-
considered part of a comp study. It's
that-
just
that-
pay.
that-
I
don't-
can't remember,
yeah.
but
And that's the most important in my opinion. We have to be able to explain that to the employees when they hear 9%, they expect 9%. But the $32,000, they may not understand. That's a huge cost to the city that is not coming out of their paycheck.
hey, I just got the final EOB for this little surgery I had. It was $281,000.
Yes,
See,
sir.
that's driving up our health. No, I'm playing.
But I think that has to carry some weight. It has to carry some weight when you're talking about a compensation study. We had that talk. Andrew, I think, didn't like my response there that day, but I mean, it is what it is. It has to be considered in a compensation study because that's an expense to the city.
I think, just to counter what you said, I always appreciate what you say, Mr. Dietz.
So without calling everybody up here, does everybody agree with what Mike and Kyle is saying? Just show of hands and.
Okay.
I think the majority of the people in my department, it's kind of like Mike. You got some older, got some younger. The older ones, we prefer not get a raise, don't touch our insurance. The younger ones say they're going to bail if they don't get a raise, but in reality, are they going anywhere? They're not going anywhere with the benefit package.
Okay. That takes some of the.
Yes, Miss
Yes,
Donna.
Miss Donna. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I have that house divided, because I have so many part-time that do not receive benefits. Now, they would love to have a 9% raise, but they will also be appreciative of whatever they get, and most of them are younger too. All my full-times, benefits.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, from my perspective, the benefits are huge. And when I came into my career, the old timers pulled me aside and they're like, "Kid, protect your pension and your health care." You know, so, and I listened to them. And now I'm the old guy telling them to protect your benefits. That being said, I just want to make sure that we all know that it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach to this. We did a significant, prior to my arrival, you all did a significant increase to the police department to get them back up. We did one to the fire department recently. PD is falling behind, and I apologize to the other directors. I don't know where they stand with their comparables, but I know that from a PD standpoint, we have fallen behind again. We are, I believe, well over 10,000 behind Smyrna in terms of a starting salary. So while I would like to preserve our benefits, I do believe that if we can't get in line with the pay study this year, I'm really asking for a commitment moving forward after that so that we can get to a point where we are competitive and retaining our employees and hopefully stealing the good employees from other competing departments in the area.
And one thing I'll counter to that is that I agree, yes, but that's where we've got to, if we're talking as Smyrna as a competitor, we need to take what Smyrna requires the employee to pay per check to see what their cost is for the insurance, because that's the only way we're comparing apples to apples. To sit here and say that they're getting paid more is not the whole story.
No, he's correct. You have to look at the entire compensation package. That was my job as the wages and benefits chair back home, and I did that at a local, state, and federal level for my organization, and it is something that you have to take into account. And I do not know offhand what Smyrna is paying out of their pocket in terms of their percentage towards their health care. But that is something that is easily found through open records, and we can get that information.
Employee retainment is critical. The cost of us outfitting and uniforms, our PPE, our training, it's 12 to 14 weeks of salary that we're paying somebody to train them, that they're not making a direct positive impact on our budget. If we have to send them to the Tennessee Fire Codes Academy in Belt Buckle, that's $6,000 per person to train them. At the end of time, I would believe that Chief Mays would agree with me, to retain employees is a much cheaper process than to hire, train, outfit, and put these people in the streets. And I know that would probably be the same for each one of our departments across the city. Retainment has got to be the top of our list. The fire department currently, I hate to say this out loud, has had, my understanding, the greatest retention that it's had since we became a municipal fire department. And that goes to a lot of things that we've done internally. It does a lot of things that y'all have voted on and provided the citizens, the employees. Today, Andrew and I was working on a job posting, and we're actually listing the benefit package line by line, and that is something that is critical to our recruitment to steal other employees from other cities, the way that they've done to us historically. For the last, I've been here almost 6 years. This summer will be 6 years, and we have been a career vocational center for other departments across Middle Tennessee, and we're not doing that over the last 18 months, and it's because of a combination of things that are happening well in this city, and we can't lose that traction.
We've done well adding people to the department in greater numbers than what we've lost over the past 2 years. But I just received notice of a resignation from last night, somebody who's going over to the county. But that being said, one of the biggest expenditures that we have now in our training budget is sending our new officers to the academy, because it's costing, if I send them to Toletta, I get it for free. But there's a very limited number of spots at Toletta because every municipality wants to send their people there because it's free. But rather than have a new recruit sit in the department and looking at policy and getting paid a full-time officer's wage without being on the street, I choose to send them to Blount County or to Knox County at a cost. So that comes out of my training budget, and it means that I can't send people to other trainings too. So that cost is greater to us, and the more we can retain employees, the less we will be spending on that training.
Maybe part of the issue could be as implementing some sort of education within internally about that package and what it means, so that people have their understanding of what their paycheck actually includes. And that's something we could do even through that suggestion I sent you the other day.
So I know that y'all as department heads or the section leaders or whatever do an exit interview. What, you said you've got an officer that's going to the county. Was there one main reason why the officer wanted to go to the county versus staying here?
That I don't know yet, because he just tendered his resignation last night to Andrew, and I set up an exit interview with him for next week.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just curious, because I know we're the only ones that have 100% health benefit. So, I was just curious as to, I would work here.
Yeah.
I can answer.
I love it here.
I can answer that question for you.
Okay.
I've spoken with that officer today, and greater financial stability for his family and better alignment with long-term professional goals was the reasons he's taking this other role.
No, you can't.
More money, more opportunity.
Yeah.
Promotions.
Is that fair to say?
Sure.
There you go.
They are a bigger department than us, and I can't compete with that. So.
Well, I think this has been a great discussion, and I still stick with my guns, saying, Kyle, you talking straight talk, things that we can understand, and mention the employees, and I hope that as we go through this process that more of that will come out, because it's good to know how the employees feel, how the department heads feel. So that kind of takes some of the pressure off.
So, Danielle, with that said.
Next.
Just 1 second.
Her laptop went to sleep.
Or we can turn it over to Wyatt.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start with revenue, which is this document, the smaller one, 8.5 by 11 paper. So I did want about the sales tax, discuss that real quick. So these are estimates, forecasts. Sorry, trying to get big enough. So as Bruce was talking about earlier, this is, he's been tracking it since 2001, I think it is, the sales tax. So I use this document for the forecasting of the local sales tax. So if you look over here, you can see that for 2025, it was 18.4. So I used the 18.5 just to be conservative. I do have the March number now, and that is so it's a little bit less than the average. As we know, the financial stability of the economy right now is not such that people are spending additional funds just because you don't know what's going to go up. Received notice that UPS is going up 8% starting this month on their charges. So it's going to cost everyone more money to get goods because they're going to pass that along to you. All right, so we'll start with the revenue.
Is there a way to brighten that at all?
Turn the lights out.
No.
I got 20/20 and I'm struggling.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
That's much better.
Yep. All right. For property taxes, basically kept that in line. Forecasting that we bring in the revenue that we budgeted for this current fiscal year. There are, new homes and so forth, so just tweak that a little bit for next year in the budget. Sales tax, as we stated, using $19 million. Hopefully, we do get that 18.5, so we're trending upwards with the new businesses that are in Laverne now. That continues to go up. So for total taxes, we have $32,430,000. Next is permits.
Hold on real quick. Before we hop off of taxes, let me ask, and this is more of a Bruce question, I think, Danielle, but when it comes to our franchise agreements, are we current on all those, or where are we with those? Because I remember, I want to say Comcast's was up, but...
You talk about the TV franchise, obviously. We'll have to check. Obviously, the Comcast is only at $40,000 as of February. We'd have to check those revenues to see if that's accurate. That seems a little low, but we'll have to double check that. AT&T and TDS also look a little bit low, so we'll have to double check all of that. But I believe all of those are actually a statewide franchise. It's not a local franchise any longer.
Okay.
So as long as they're submitting their payments like they're supposed to, it should be correct. It should be up to date.
Okay, so we don't have control over it anymore.
No, not anymore. Yeah.
And just another quick question I want to go on. As far as the property tax, at the end of February, which when the men be paid by, we're still down. So is there a reason why that's not up to where it should be?
Because the deadline to pay taxes without penalty is the February 28th. Mm-hmm. So when you see the March numbers, this is as of February, so when you see the March numbers, I think we were at 90. Bruce, do you remember the percentage we were at?
I don't.
Yeah, it was over 90%.
There's always going to be some that's uncollectible because people just don't pay. So there's always 3 or 4% that doesn't pay.
I understand that. That leads to another question. Other states that I deal with, if you don't pay your taxes, it goes pretty quick to the court and the tax deed sale, and those states tend to collect their money very, very quickly. Because if you don't pay it, it goes up on the auction block.
Yes. Becky and Lauren were working on that last week.
Okay. Every year we turn those into Chancery Court, and then they're given, I can't remember how many years it is. I want to say after 10 years, we have to take it off because it is uncollectible.
They get how long?
Well, I think it's 2 years it stays in court, but we have to keep them on the books for 10 years. We have to take them off of the books, I should say, after 10 years because it's uncollectible at that point. That's typically for personal property taxes, not for real property taxes like houses and whatnot. So, there is a point where we can sell them or have the county sell them because typically they won't pay the county either.
Have we ever done that?
I'm honestly not sure. I think we have, but I've never been involved in that process.
It would just be a lien on the property and then selling that lien, right?
It could be, but there is a point where they would put it up for auction. And the county usually does that, not us.
Right.
But the states that do that, just my knowledge is you pay your property taxes pretty quick. Because if you don't, it goes on the block and you lose your house and it becomes a real problem real quick. I know it's tough to say, but it gets the property tax paid on time.
So, Bruce, if the county puts it up, then do we get our share once it goes?
We should, yes. We have to make sure that we're included in that lien, like what was stated. Like I said, I've never been involved in that process. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Becky would probably have a better idea of how that works and how, we've done that in the past. I'm not sure.
Can you let us know at the next meeting,
Yes.
Danielle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Next, excuse me. Next is permits. You can see that this year we are exceeding what was budgeted. As Bruce stated, working on the fee schedules, so these numbers will probably change. They will change if the fee schedule changes. And so we're going to talk about the projections for next year, forecasting that, because, like I said, the permits are up. The number. So I don't know if Joe has any insight on that part of it, but we have budgeted $441,000. Currently, we're sitting at $722,000.
And plus, we're getting ready to add the electrical permits in there as well. So that's another 100 and 200,000. We're not exactly sure at this point. And we would need to be really conservative on those numbers, especially the first year, because we don't know exactly what that amount might be.
The next section is the state revenue. These are state grants, your beer tax, gas tax, modernization tax. All that comes through the state monthly for the most part. We receive that. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce Wyatt. He's my new staff accountant. He started in December. So we are actually in the process of getting all this stuff entered. He's helping me with that.
I thought that was Ronnie's son or something sitting over there.
Carol thought he just followed. Carol thought he followed Jules in with the food off the street.
He's in training to learn how to put out basement fires.
So we have.
So no comment from the other chief on the basement fires, huh?
Discretion is the better part of valor, ma'am.
So we have budgeted $5,286,980 for state revenue.
Another thing to consider there, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Another thing to consider there is a lot of these state shared revenues are based on population. So the new population estimates that will kick in July 1st, we know we're going to get a lot more people than what we've had. Our current revenues are based on 38,000, whatever that number is. The new number should be 41 or 42. We've not gotten those numbers yet from the state. So there will be an increase there. We just don't know how much at this point.
Next, we have the library. I have budgeted $500, same as last year.
Hold on, did we skip over the...
Oh, recreation we did, sorry. Recreation, I I've budgeted $38,000, the same as this year. The numbers are a little less than last year, down, but hopefully we can get some more of that entered, and so that's why I have the projection a lot higher.
Danielle, we get donations just about every quarter almost.
Yes.
From Good Samaritan for the dog park.
Yes.
Where do they go?
So when you gave me the check, I think it was being coded incorrectly. So I'm gonna have to reclass those donations to this dog park GL.
Okay.
So on the recreation, is there any progress on someone doing baseball? And is that part of this? That part of this revenue, or anything on?
Figured into here, probably the only recreation fees figured in here are revenues from the football league, which I think their annual contract pays the city $2,000 to cover field maintenance and paint, and probably legacy homeschool. They were $500, I think, 2 times. So that's probably what encompasses that. YMCA is interested in forming a baseball softball league, so we've had contact with them. We're reaching back out to them to see if they want to move forward with that, and if not, then we'll get in touch with Bruce to try to get an RFP out for hopefully spring of next year.
So this fall, can the fields be rented out to different rec leagues or whatnot that come through?
They're currently rented out to practice, travel ball, something like that. YMCA has the back complex tied up for their soccer league, so we're partners with them, and they use the back 4 fields for that. So we try not to rent those 4 fields back there, and the front fields are being rented currently.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike Walker's dog.
Next, we have the library, and I just left that at the $500. It just depends on how much Miss Donna sells.
With our picture computers down, the copies have not been coming through, so it should be up more for that, and we'll also stand on the street corner some and try to see.
Police. Police.
Careful where that goes.
You have a permit for that, Ms. Donna?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Court fines. So the courts has been closed. It came back up, I think, in January, so that's why those numbers are lower than usual. So I kept the same budget for next year for revenue.
So just one little side conversation that I've been having with Chief, just asking, because the sex offender registry fees can only be used for the costs associated with the maintenance of it all. But looking at making sure that our costs are reflected in there, because I know everything's gone up over the last few years. But just he's going to have a look with his team on that.
Yes. All right. The last section is the total other revenue. Sorry. So as you recall, Truist, we met with them and we received a better interest rate on our income. So you'll see that currently, year to date, as of February, we've received $627,476. So forecasting $941,000. I went up $300,000 with the interest just because I wanted to be conservative with the economy, not certain what's going to happen, so I didn't want to overstate that. That's the same thing with the construction account. And as Bruce stated, there's $6.1 million for in this section also for the to cover some of the capital projects that he'll discuss on his list.
Hopping back up to 36,212, the rent for Clearwire, where it went down Looks like significantly, but we're budgeting 18,000 still.
Yes. You'll see that last year the actual was 18,000, and so with Wyatt, I had him enter the big items, the big revenues. So now we're getting down to the smaller ones. So you'll see that number come up, the year-to-date number.
Okay, and Bruce, with that one, isn't that one where we can send over a notice of an increase with them if we wanted to increase that slightly?
Possibly. I'd have to look at that contract again.
So right now for revenues, we're budgeting $45,724,435. Next, we'll look at the expenses. It's basically the same budget as last year, except for what, as Bruce stated, I just added in the new capital items. Let's go down. So the green items on my spreadsheet indicate that I've married the information from local government and RAMP. So it's just a tickler for me so that I know that that information is in there already.
And on the paper, it's just gray because I didn't print it in color. So. So you'll see on mine, I've got just hyperlinks, and so that's hyperlinked to the capital project, a capital items list. So there isn't anything different in the expenditure side except for these items, taking out this current year capital and putting in the items off the list.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, we don't go over each department line by line, so it's up to you guys if you have any questions, or obviously take these home and look at them. If you have any questions about the expenses, it would take obviously a lot of time to go through these line by line. So if you do see anything you have questions about, please let us know.
On the last page, under other operating transfers, the one that number is hyperlinked, 1.82, and that's for the transfer to the streets to pay for the bonds. So in total, we have a surplus of $2.3 million.
As it stands right now.
Are there any questions?
Where's the money tree?
We need to plant a few.
The interest really helped, and then the sales tax increasing. So
Somebody pulled it up, ground the stump.
Say again?
Money tree he was talking about.
Oh.
Okay. Pulled up the money tree and ground the stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't mean
look at his throat.
Jason said money tree. I said, it's been pulled up.
Someone used it on back surgery.
Ground us, yeah, it's in my back.
If you have any questions, you could reach out to me, or if you want any data.
Those not on the Planning Commission board, you can see now why the retail has a big impact on the city and its budget. It's a huge difference. Thank you, Mr. Broker and his team. Did a good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
He took the words out of the mouth. That's what he was going to say. Thanks, Tom.
Bless you, Jerry.
The last document is the big 11 by 17 document. This is our capital list, capital items for general fund. Actually, all of the funds are in here. It's not just general fund. At the top, you'll see in orange this is the transfer to streets capital projects for the bond issue payment that Danielle just spoke about. The existing bond items that we have, as of the end of August, we still had almost $6.2 million in the existing bond amount. This does not include the bond issue that we issued for Waldron Road and Blair West. So we're looking at $200,000 for the City Hall remodel for the police department. We're looking at the $4.5 million that I told you about for the expansion of the Public Works CDS facility. Like I said, we're getting ready to bid that out. Hopefully we'll have some more accurate numbers within a couple of months. And then the Fire Station 43 remodel has gone up as well. That's $1.4 million. So the total there that we're hoping to use the existing bond money for is $6.1 million. If you'll continue down that same column for 26-27, you'll see for engineering, we're looking at an SUV for the new assistant director that was just hired 2-3 weeks ago. That's a $10,000 lease that we're looking at. For the IT department, we've got 50 computers and then replace the City Hall electronic sign that's out front. So a total of $80,000 there. The next one on the list is for the fire department, $100,000 for the water model for the fire flow. Then down at the bottom of the page, under the fire department replacement plan, they've got a couple of vehicles in there for possible leases, a replacement truck for that will replace Squad 41, and then a replacement SUV for the CRR team. So the total for that department would be the $25,000 for the replacements, $125,000 total for fire. Second page.
I guess I haven't paid any attention. What's wrong with our sign out front?
Glenn, I'll let you explain that one if you can.
It's very old. We can't communicate to it anymore to program it. It's old. It's faded. The display is not higher resolution. It just needs to be. How long have we had that thing?
It's
more than 10 years.
It's 8 to 10 years, yeah.
And depending on how quickly that tree grows, the sign loses connection with the computer over at CID, and then it's not reading everything correctly.
Yeah, the new one will be cellular connected, so we don't have to rely on wireless access points. And
is it going to be bigger, prettier?
It will.
Brighter?
It will be higher resolution. It's going to be about the same size physically, but it'll have it'll look more like a TV than the little dots when you get up close to it.
It'll pop.
It'll pop.
It'll pop.
It'll sing. Yeah. I guess I hadn't paid any attention.
It will make you pay attention.
So at the top of page 2, you have the Parks and Recreation Department. They are requesting to replace the football scoreboard at $11,000 and replace the bay doors at the Parks and Rec building for $18,000. So that's a total of $29,000. So your total for new capital and one-time request is $244,000. And then you get into the personnel request. We only have 2 at this time. One for the fire department, which is a new full-time inspector for the CRR office, and that is at $104,000, and that includes benefits. And then for the library, Ms. Donna is requesting a full-time children's coordinator, and as an offset of that, she is asking to convert the one vacant part-time position that they have into the full-time. So the cost difference between that is approximately $60,000. So your total personnel requests are almost $64,000. So if you add all of this up, as far as your new request, the $244,000 for capital one-time request and your personnel request, your total for new request is $407,890 is the summary for general fund. Any questions on any of those items? Okay. As you continue down through, you have all of the other different funds that we're not talking about the operating tonight. We can certainly go through these briefly. Fund 121 is the State Street Aid Fund. Mike Dietz and his crews are looking at $1.4 million in street paving and striping for next year. I did not include that list, but we can certainly get that list to you. The Senior Citizens Fund, David is looking at a new metal roof on the senior center, which would be $80,000, and then they want to enclose a portion of the shed area for usable space for $10,000. So your total request there is $90,000. On the drug fund.
Oh, excuse me, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Does that $80,000, David, does that include the shed portion or just the building portion?
It's a building and a shed, yes.
Okay.
In that 10,000 to enclose the shed, is that to make it usable in the winter time also, or just for?
Yes, we haven't crossed that road yet about heating and cooling it, but we think $10,000 can enclose it from almost where the building comes out, maybe a little bit further, but make that whole area back there.
What we talked about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Fund 123, the drug fund, Chief is requesting 2 replacement pursuit vehicles with equipment. So that totals $213,878. They want to replace 2 consoles in dispatch. That's $100,000. And then they want to purchase 2 evidence cabinets, which would be another $17,600. So the total request from the drug fund would be $331,478. Do you have any questions about those items?
Aaron had said something about remodeling.
They're currently doing a project now to remodel dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Chief can talk about that more specifically than I can.
Yeah, that was already budgeted for,
Okay.
and so the actual remodel that we did came in significantly under what was budgeted this year, so we didn't use all that money. But we're scheduled to, I believe, begin on the 12th, and it got moved up a little bit, and we just had TBI come in and check out the county's 911 system to make sure that it was all up to snuff with their standards, and our dispatch will be remotely working from there for the time being that the room is being renovated.
Okay, thanks.
Fund 126 is the Equitable Sharing Fund, which is also Police Department. They're requesting patrol rifle replacements. This is going to be year 2 of that process. So it'll be 25 rifles per year for 3 years. And like I said, this is year number 2. That's $27,500. They're also asking for 2 replacement pursuit vehicles out of this fund, which is another $200 and almost $14,000. There's a Lake Forest radio repeater system because they're having some issues with communications in that area. So this should help that dramatically. And then they're also asking for 2 sniper rifle packages, another $14,484. So the total from this fund is $275,862. And as I mentioned previously, and I should have said this earlier, you'll see a lot of these expenses in these funds because they tried to keep them out of general fund, so they didn't hit general fund, and we're putting them in these other funds. So that's why they're listed here. Any questions about equitable sharing, those items listed there? Okay. The next fund is Fund 127, the Stormwater Control Fund. Gary, well, I don't guess it's Gary. It's Dietz now. We'll put it on Dietz now. Dietz is asking for a new street sweeping truck for that department, and that is a total of $255,000. And that is the only capital request for that fund.
I seen that thing today, that old one. Phew.
Bye.
Taking a break.
At least it's not on video.
He's getting violent.
He's being noisy, I tell you. Fund 311, this is the top of the third page. Street Capital Projects Fund. We have the one carryover project, the CMAQ grant for the Advanced Traffic Management System. This is the city portion of that grant. That cost has not changed. It may not be exact. We'll have to update that if needed. For projects, obviously the two big projects we talked about earlier, Blair Road West and South Waldron Road widening. Those are the projected numbers for the next 4 years for those two projects. As you can see, it's quite substantial. Any questions about the streets capital projects?
So, going back to impact fees, as the Twinnings station and other areas are being built, how will that help increase our revenue for?
It will for the streets capital projects. That's where those revenues go for road impact fees. They go into this fund.
Okay.
It won't impact general fund, though.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
I was talking to Tom about that last night, was if we can get through 3, 4, 5 years with a small increase in taxes and things, if we can get through to 20 stations, I think our city will blossom. Don't you, Tom?
I think Kara's idea of doing something small each year certainly plays into that, and then after 20 stations revenue starts coming in, I believe that maybe you could back off of
that. And of course, what else you bring to us.
Not trying, he's doing. Look at the numbers over the last, I would say, 12, 13 years, Tom. They've gone up drastically. That sheet that was in Danielle's report at the board meeting.
If I may just respond to that, it's nice for us to say, look what we're doing, but we've created an environment between our planning, our engineering, our public works that people want to be here and do business here. So it's nice to say economic development, but truly all the departments. And I think putting us under one roof has even made it better. We're a little more seamless than we were, or more connected, working under the same roof. So it's a win for everyone.
As they say, it takes a village.
Okay, the next fund is Fund 313, which is the Parks Capital Projects Fund. David has requested playground equipment for the Brookside Park at $100,000 and to resurface the Mankin Park Trail for $40,000. So the total new request for that fund is $140,000. Any questions about those two items?
What trail out there?
It's got a little walking trail around that whole outside of the park and equipment.
I hadn't noticed that. I know the pavilion and the playground and everything, but I didn't know there's a little bitty walking trail there.
How's our ground penetrating thing that was going on out at Brookside? Was it Brookside? Remember when we had to increase because the ground penetrating was finding sinkholes or?
That's the construction.
They're in the process of finishing that up. Hopefully they'll be paving within the next couple of days. They were out there today turning some gravel over. They had more wet spots, so they should get out there tomorrow and compact that again.
And if you
They were supposed to pave last Friday, so if they say they're going to pave this coming week, we'll take that with a grain of salt.
And the parking lot and the area, the new area for the park, I mean, it's still blocked off, but it looks amazing out there.
Okay, the next fund is Fund 322, the Fire Impact Fee Fund. There's two items for this next fiscal year listed there. One is a heavy-duty trench rescue trailer with tools. If I am correct, that is one that we're looking at with a grant. Is that the same one, Ronnie?
Yes, that's when it was a partial grant that's been awarded to us, just have not finalized it. We'll have to pay some of it that we did not get the full grant covered.
Right. So that one may be adjusted some depending on that grant.
Yes, and that potentially could happen before the end of this budget year.
Right.
And have to do a budget amendment.
Right. So I was getting ready to say that. We've already been awarded the grant. We've not received the funds yet. We may have to bid it out or find cooperative purchasing to buy it, but that hasn't been figured out yet. So that's still in the process. The other item is a new SUV for the new inspector. I put in here $50,000 to buy it outright, but we could possibly do that as a lease at $10,000 per year. It's however we decide to go on that. It could go either way. Any question about fire impact fees? No, you're fine.
Now, when we lease those vehicles and then we put the wrap on them, when we return them, do they accept? They'll accept them with the wrap fading on it, or you know how vehicles that wrap them and then you take the wrap off and it fades.
Right.
Unless they're going to use it for a rap video, we take the wrap off.
I knew
Oh, let's not go there.
Oh, no.
Ouch.
Let's not go there.
I remember that video.
I'll take my basement fires.
We have not had any dealings with Enterprise about a wrapped vehicle yet, so I'm not exactly sure how that would be done. But as far as I know, they would be okay with that.
With
And
the
they would
fading.
take it.
I know we got to take the wrap off of it, but
Right.
it would be
And
faded.
they would fix it up, whatever they've got to do, so that they can sell it when they get it back.
Okay, all right.
But I can double check on that.
Well, I mean, I was just curious, so. And then, of course, we have the RAP for the mayor.
Lots for me.
I know.
Bruce is working on it slush fund for me.
Yeah. And then the last fund is Fund 413, Water and Sewer. We have one carryover item there for the sewer department, which is the Walton Road Pump Station rehab, $350,000. That one is still under design. And then for new requests, you've got the water treatment plant, looking to replace the roll-up doors at the plant at $50,000. The inspection and cleaning of the intake screen and wet well at $10,000. And then replace the tube settlers in the super pulsators at $1 million. So the total cost for, and then there were no other requests for them, so that would be $1,060,000. For the sewer department, they're looking at purchasing a vac truck. And that's a replacement vac truck at $435,000. And then for the water department, we're looking at a possible lease for a new SUV for the water inspector at $11,000. So your total new capital request for water and sewer is $1.495 million. There are no personnel requests for that fund. So your total new requests are $1.495, and plus your carryover. And that's all I really have as far as the capital list.
I got two.
That's the missing file.
That's the missing one. I was wondering where it went.
There you go.
Who gave you your packet? Jerry?
I don't know who gave me my packet.
It was Jerry.
No worries.
It's Jerry.
I don't need two. One's enough.
So I think we've covered about everything that we can cover tonight. So I think we're at a point where just any questions from the board. I still think we need some direction on the compensation study, if there's any percentages that you want us to look at specifically so that we can calculate those numbers and bring them back. at a future workshop. And then, anything else that you all want to talk about?
So I'll throw it out because I'm the loudmouth of the group, but can you pull numbers for a 6% raise in June, and then what a 3% might look like in January?
Okay.
I'd like to look at 3% to start with. So 3% for this year.
3% total for July. Okay.
Wrapping up with the 3 and 6. Just cover more of the basis. Gets more numbers.
Okay. Any other requests?
And that will include adjustment to the pay scale
Yes.
also.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, any increases going forward will include an increase to the pay scale.
That is our current plan, yes, because we've got to get that higher for the starting pay.
Okay. Because I think that's where we ended up messing up, was we were doing the increases, but we weren't increasing pay scale.
Which will be a big change for the employees because they're used to seeing their steps go up every year. Well, if we're adjusting the entire scale, they won't see that specific step increase, but their pay would still increase by whatever amount y'all decide to do.
Okay.
Talk about impact fees, Bruce. You want to talk about that a little bit?
We can.
Do what?
The impact fees. So we put it on there that we'd look at it every year. It's very, very important. I think we need to discuss it.
I love them.
You got Tom's attention back there.
So my question is Smyrna Murfreesboro raising theirs at all? Because I know before we reduced some of ours in 15, we were higher than Murfreesboro. So have we heard any word if they're going to increase theirs?
I have not heard. We can try and find out, but I am not aware of any changes at this time.
Yeah, if you could reach out to Dave and
Talking
Darren.
about impact fees,
Yes.
I personally don't think that we should try to compare with them. I think that we need to, because we went for so long without raising them. I think we need to raise them as much as we can get them as far as within realistic. I don't think we need to do what, I think Tom will correct me, was it Aldi's that had to pay so much for?
They had to pay more than they've ever paid
Yeah.
in impact fees.
We don't want to get crazy, but I think we need to act accordingly.
Now, we just decreased
Roads.
the roads. Fire and police fire and whatever stayed the same, but we just decreased the roads. Was it 75 or 70?
I think it went down to 70.
70? So are you talking about increasing roads again?
We're talking about adding the construction cost index, basically a
the
CPI
CPI
increase.
into it. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
But we don't know what that percentage is yet.
Correct.
So I think that would be important to find out beforehand. Because if it's, 12, 14%, depending on the amounts, that could be significant, or, just seeing how it goes with inflation.
I will work on getting that, hopefully for Monday.
Kind of got a Bo Gary question. Yeah, pop that head up, Bo.
Wake up, Bo.
Any plans on plan review fees going up?
We raised the engineering rules 2 years ago, and they're still adequate.
They're still adequate?
But Bruce had us all run through a justify your fees process, and then I was still working.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, right now, any fee $250 or more, you're going to have to provide justification. So if we want to raise fees, you're going to have justification behind it.
To who?
To the state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a law in place where if any developer or obviously resident ask what the justification is for why we're charging X dollars for whatever fee, if it's over $250, we have to provide that justification, be able to show why we're charging that dollar amount. And that
So
goes,
ours is 250?
well, we have several that are over 250 that we're going to have to be able to justify, but that goes into effect July 1st of this year.
Okay.
So what you're seeing is the developers and stuff, they're pushing back. So like, hey, let's raise fees. Let's raise fees on them. They're pushing back and saying, and I guess the state's listening to them because they're saying, all right, you can't have fees over this unless you justify it.
Now, our impact fees are okay because we have the study to back that up. But like our building permit fees and other things, we will have, that are over 250, we will have to provide justification for those.
And that was going to be my next question, is permits.
That's part of it.
Because we've seen it, bless you, we've seen inflation, period, in the cost for people. But if there's any, if we're going to increase those at all.
I'll give one example, and Joe, you can help me on this, and Ronnie too, but fire tent fees are like $750. Y'all wanted to increase that, we're going to have to justify that $750. So.
Yeah, that'll be
We
one
just,
we'll
I was
have
going to
to
say, we just added a permit fee for the fire department. I don't have the data to understand what that is going to be annually right now, but there will be fees that we've never charged before for inspections and plans reviews and all the things that have a direct impact on our budget, manpower hours that we can charge for the first time. Joe may have some idea what that value could be, but I'm not certain what it is.
Yeah, I'm looking into that, and I've been talking to some of the individuals at Smyrna and Murfreesboro, and a lot of people still aren't real clear on the wording of that in TCA. I think it's 160, and how they're interpreting that per permit, per fee. So that we're still working through,
What does it really apply to?
What's it really apply to, and how do we need to be breaking down to justify it? It really wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't real clear.
I have to give all you people credit, man, because that stuff is so far over my head what you're talking about.
So, I'm sorry, are you done?
I'm never done, but go ahead.
Since we're talking permits, and we just passed the food truck thing, have you received any feedback from the food truck owners or whatever based on the new?
I have not as of yet, but I can say that we just had a few. Their annual permit ran out, and we've had to deliver the news that, hey, you're going to have to move to the appropriate zone. So I would expect some feedback in the near future.
Okay.
But I haven't had anything yet.
That's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's why you have me here.
So we have had some that's run out.
Correct.
Were they the stationary ones that were supposed to be movable?
Yes. Yes.
Who delivers that news?
Codes enforcement. We do it by letter. And
You do it by letter.
and we go in person too. We go in person, but then we send a letter just as a formality. But we try to go see them in person and talk to them.
And how long do they have?
End of the day.
We gave them 10 days, just as a courtesy. That's sort of been our departmental policy, to give them 10 days because it's kind of a new thing. So.
Well, let's face it, they're not going to move in 10 days, so now what?
That'll be for the judge to decide.
That's why.
You didn't know if you came to these, you got more responsibilities, did you, Wyatt?
I did.
Good stuff.
He'll never come back.
He won't be here Monday. Any other questions? Bruce, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to reconvene back here Monday at 5:30.